Hi everybody, today I'm going to be taking a look at the KITLife planners for 2020. KITLife sent these planners to me to take a look at just to give you a heads up. They sent a couple of the ones they thought I would like as they have a few different varieties this year. I've looked at their planners before and I know that every year they make changes to them, so I'm excited to see kind of what they're like. I already know of one change I like better than some of their previous planners. The two planners they sent me are two different types of planners. This one is a weekly planner and this one is a daily planner. I decided to look at them both in the same video because I just felt like it. Let's get started. So this is their Luxe planner in weekly and daily. They have each of their covers and I think the inside style as well are each named. This one is the Olivia and this one is the Michelle. And the name applies to both the daily and the weekly version of this cover and color theme. I don't know if they have different color schemes or not. I know this one is a neutral planner and this one is a colorful, but I don't know if there's other colorful editions or if they all are the same. First and foremost, with both of these planners, I want to make note that they have a hard, like, chipboard cover, which is exciting for me because in the past, one of the things I have disliked about the KITLife planners is that they have a plastic kind of flappy thing and then underneath it is like a cardstock cover, and it's not durable and I just don't like it. But these most definitely live up to their more luxe name with a much more substantial cover. They also both have the kind of binding that I prefer over the wire O binding, which is just the standard spiral. Although I feel like on this one, the spiral goes a little extra too far and that's sort of weird. But this one seems to be just fine. The coils are both gold, although this daily planner or weekly planner seems to have a bit more of a bronzy gold than a regular gold coil. And both covers have gold on the cover, gold foiling. They both say 2020 Keeping It Together planner, and then of course they're different color palettes. One other thing to note is that because this is a daily planner, this is much thicker than the weekly planner. Like you can see the difference here because there's more pages in the daily planner and it's reflected in the price. The weekly planners are $53 and the daily planners are $63. So you have basically almost twice as big of a planner and it is $10 more expensive. According to the website, these planners have 70-pound paper and they come in a box. This is the keepsake box. It says Keeping It Together and it's foiled and it's just like a white kind of square box that fits the planner. Both of them came in these. I love these boxes like this. You know, I saved my day designer boxes and everything else. Even if I don't keep the planner, I keep the box most of the time. But that's because I'm a container hoarder. These planners are not square, but they are close to square. They are 8.5 inches in width and 8 inches tall. If you compare my Erin Condren to a KITLife planner, you set them on top of each other. The Erin Condren planner is taller and the KITLife planner is a little bit wider. So it's a slight difference. One of the things I like about these in terms of their shape is that they look very much like a pretty planner that would sit on your desk. I know that that can seem a little shallow, but hey, I've never said I wasn't shallow. The first thing I'm gonna do is go through them at the beginnings of the planner to see if what they have in the beginning is the same. I'm curious to know what the difference between the two planners is layout wise, if they're the same except for their weekly or daily layout, or if there are other differences. So let's check it out. So you open up the planners and both of them have a really sturdy, like laminated cardstock cover, like attached to the front. It is a little under 7 inches wide. If it's a regular sheet of paper, you'll need to fold it, but it's a sturdy pocket and it goes up pretty high. And then both planners, let's see here, say on the inside, do more, be more, give more. They're just in different color schemes because this is a more neutral planner and this is a more colorful planner. And then you can see the tabs on the sides of each of them have different colors as well. Now from glancing at the different planners on the lineup, the differences in between these layouts are actually because of the type of layout. This is a more neutral layout. This is a colorful layout. So it's not a difference necessarily between the weekly and the daily, but they both have the same stuff. It's just a different looking layout. And I'm already struggling with this coil a little bit because of that weirdness up on top. So this is a habits page. They both have the same content on them. They just look different from each other. So they say your current pain points are, I can alleviate my pain points by habits that will bring me joy and I will work on. And then at the bottom here is a reminder to go check out their website if you want inspiration, blah, blah, blah. So these are the two different layouts. This is like a nice, bright, colorful one. And then this one has grays and blacks. And if you watch my last review, you will know how I feel about a lot of black ink. So hopefully that doesn't continue continue too much through the planner. Although, like I said in the comments of that planner, one of my subscribers did say that darker ink is great for people with low vision, so that's good to know. And then the next page here is basically the same layout. How have I progressed since last quarter? Proudest accomplishment from last quarter, current weight, current sleep, current health, activity levels, body image. Am I nourishing my body with healthy foods, feeding my mind with inspiration, filling my heart with love and kindness? Is my internal dialogue positive? And then quarterly goals. So you put in 3 goals and then the habits that will guide that goal. And again, basically the same layout, just 2 different color palettes. And then you have a notes and doodles page, which is the same page for both. It looks like in the neutral-ish planner, each month has like a color and then gray, whereas these guys are the same color scheme for each month. These colors remind me a lot of the Simplified Planner colors. Okay, so what do we have here for January? We have an aspirational attribute, a kindness challenge, in the kitchen, a little something extra, monthly maintenance, observations and celebrations. So like these are different things going on. Elvis's birthday, you know, Nicolas Cage's birthday is in January as well. I'm just saying, as is mine. Monthly maintenance, so things to do around your house. And the little something extra is about National Hugging Day. The kindness challenge for the month is this month practice putting kindness first. Let someone go before you and allow that car to merge ahead. And then in the kitchen, seasoning your meats 6 to 8 hours before cooking allows the flavor to penetrate. And then a quote from Nathan W. Morris for aspirational attribute. And it looks like all of the different months have all of these categories, and there's just different stuff in each of them for each month. Out of these 2, I prefer the neutral because it does have some variety versus the same color scheme every month, which you would think would be weird because I prefer neutral in general, but yeah. So this page is cardstock on each of them. It's a cardstock for like the divider, and then the tabs are laminated, and they're different shapes based on each planner. So now we're going to get into the layouts. Let's look at the monthly layouts and see how they compare. If you look at this, they are the exact same layout, just with different colors. This is black, white, and gray, and this is all colorful. And it looks like it's the same color scheme for every month, so it doesn't change. And I was a little worried that they would be bringing that color from the monthly tab into the monthly layout, but I love that they don't. So the boxes, they fill up the whole page. They're a little small for my taste, but that's just because of the size of the planner, because there's not a lot of extra shit, like pushing them out of the way. That just happens to be the size of the planner. There is some holidays in here. And then on the side, there is the previous month and the next month calendar, and then a small space for goals. And that's about all the monthly calendar is, and it's pretty basic but pretty useful. They're a Sunday start. Basically sums up the whole beginning of both of these planners. It's basically the same. The only difference is whether or not it's neutral or colorful, and there are both versions. Like there's a daily neutral and a daily colorful, and etc., etc. So now let's get into the actual layouts, which is where things are going to get different. And we will start with the daily layout. The way this layout looks is that there's like a flag looking situation at the top with the date, and if there's a holiday, it says the holiday there. And then for the actual layout, it has the big 3, and then it has several check boxes plus a spot for self-care. It has a bunch of blank lines, so not check boxes. A be grateful, be active, and eat well section right here. I guess you can use that for your meal plan. And then a 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. or it doesn't say p.m. or a.m. on it, so it could easily be 6 p.m. to 8 a.m., which is a nice touch for people who work swing shifts. Little list here, and then there's a quote on the bottom. So looking at this, I do appreciate that they get the self-care in here and that they have these like 3 sections. What I would have liked to see is these 3. I get that kind of goes with their whole theme of the planner. They want to be like a planner where you're prioritizing taking care of yourself, being good to your body. But much like I said in my previous planner review video of the Live Rich planner, I would probably blank these out because I don't necessarily want to have gratitude on every page. That's not where I do it. I don't do it in my planner, you know, or I might want this to be something different, like tracking something else or having room for something else. So I'm a fan of things being left more to the person using the planner than the planner telling you what to do. But I also enjoy the fact that this is very minimalist. There's not a shit ton of type on this page, so if you do want to change it, covering it up is not going to be too difficult or intrusive. And there's quotes along the bottom. And then as we flip through, we get to the weekend, and as usual in most daily planners, my biggest gripe is the weekend is 1 page, and I I swear, it's like I should just record this rant and just insert it into every time I see this in a planner, because it bugs me. I don't like it. Main points being that A, not everybody has Saturday and Sunday off, so this may not work for somebody who works on the weekends. B, if your life is anything like mine, your weekends are not slow. Sometimes I could have a slow weekend and have a doubled up page like this. Other times my weekends are even more busy than my week. So I strongly dislike weekends on one page. And that's not just this planner, that's all planners that do that. And it's most daily planners I've noticed that do that. For their weekend, they have check boxes with self-care, and then 3 blank boxes on the side with the little tab for you to fill in, I guess, what it's going to be. And I would almost have preferred this on every single day instead of the be grateful, be active, eat well. And so that is how the week goes. This is also, because it's daily, there isn't like a Monday or a Sunday start or whatever. I guess the only thing you take into account is that the weekend is on one page. So then once you get through the whole month and you get to the start of the month, you get to the next monthly tab. And I would imagine that if the month ended in a weird spot, then you get a notes and a doodle page. This one has a little bit of ink spots on it. They have a quarterly sort of situation. This is the same as in their previous planners. So I'm going to set this to the side for now until we get to this part with the weekly planner. Now moving to the weekly planner, the weekly neutral, here is the week. And I'm going to tell you right now, I love this layout. It's a vertical layout, like vertical/hourly, which is not something I'm using currently. I'm using a horizontal at the moment, but I love how neutral this is. It's got the month and then the days across the top with the holidays. This font is in black, but that's the only black on the page except for here on the bottom, and the rest of it's a soft gray, and I like that. I was worried when seeing like how much black there was here and in other spots that there was going to be hella black everywhere, but there's not, and I love that. Here, there's an entire like long checkbox list that's a whole column. And then for each day, you have a lined, just blank section. And then you have the same hourly section as the daily, except it goes from 6 until 7. And again, that could be either way. I think it's a nice touch that there's no PMs and AMs. I like that. It's not a very broad hourly section in either planner, but you could mess with it a little bit. And all of the lines are even, so you also could just white those out and use it as a column. And then at the bottom, there's a weekly gratitude, be well, and then a self-care at the bottom. Again, I would have preferred to have these things. I would probably just black those out and use them however I want to use them, but I've already explained that. I guess the one real issue that I'm having, if there's any design issue I'm having with either of these planners so far, really, I'm just not a fan of the cursive font, and that's personal preference. It's just not something I'm digging, but I like the other fonts that they're using. Now this is different. There's a monthly budget at the end of the month. It's not in here, is it? No. So this is something different than the daily planner. There's a lot of different stuff in the weekly planner than the daily planner. So at the end of the weekly planner, you get a note page, and then you get, it's also, by the way, this is a Monday start with the Sunday start calendar. I know that bugs some people, so I wanted to mention that. You get a January monthly budget that has income, budget, actual notes, and you have 2 income spots for totals, and then expenses, savings, mortgage, rent, household utilities, groceries, phone, internet, auto, gas, tolls, insurance, entertainment, wellness, and then 4 more lines, budget, actual notes, and then your totals at the bottom. And then you have these pages, there's a lot more black here, monthly reflection, successes from this month, reflect on some of your proudest accomplishments from this month, favorite experiences, looking back to joyful moments, take a moment to consider what you're most grateful for, and a quick review. So flip back through your planner pages to find any tasks that still need your attention, add them to your list for the month ahead, and books I read this month. And then for the next month, goals for the month ahead. Here are your 3 goals, what events and experiences that you're anticipating, and then topics to explore and books on your list. So this is an interesting little kind of reflecting and aspirational section. And then right here, there's a habit tracker with room for a bunch of habits for the whole month. How do I feel? What can I do differently? What motivates me? And a personal star rating. And then an additional lined note page with no like little doodly thing on it. So that is interesting. And I'm assuming that's in every month. Yeah, it looks like it's in every month. So now let's go and see if there is a quarterly check-in, the same as there is in the other one. And Yep, it looks like it is. So they did this before and it was like each one was different. And it looks like this side with successes, goals, all that is the same as in that first spread that we looked at. But that this side where the habits were in the first spread is different. And this reminds me a lot of what they've done before. Again, it's the same content, it's just a different organization. This is about confidence. I feel valuable when I am proud of myself for. I will stop comparing myself to, and I will take action on. And then another reminder to go check out their shit online. And then you have your next quarterly check-in is emotional intelligence. And each of these also has a different color scheme in the colorful one. Emotional IQ. My emotions are triggered when I can react less by, I can empathize more with others by, and I will work on. In September, we have anti-hustle, which is an intriguing topic. I really like this color scheme. Somehow this like coral popping off the blue looks really rad to me. I will set these boundaries. I will treat myself to. This is how I will unplug and I will work on. Ironically for me, I feel like September is probably the hardest month. I'm in September right now, and September is the hardest month for me to apply these principles because it's the beginning of the school year. Like both of my kids have frantic schedules, and so I mean, I guess that would be when I would need to take the most time to myself or whatever, but it doesn't really feel like a possibility this month. And then the final one is in November, I guess, instead of December, which is end of year. And this page is different than the one that it has been, but we'll look at this first. So end of year, my greatest accomplishments, greatest lessons learned, the following people impacted my life and I will work on. And then the other side is progress. How have I progressed since last year? Favorites. The best books I've read this year, favorite trip or best travel, best memories from this year. Is everything I've done this year in alignment with my goals? Did I have fun this year? Do I feel fulfilled by my experiences? How have I developed or changed as a person? And how do your accomplishments from this year make you feel? Whoa, that was a little bit of a change in tense. How have I developed, but how do your accomplishments? That sort of threw me off for a second. So that's the end of the year situation in both of these planners in, like I said, at the end of November. And then when you get to December, at the end of it, in the weekly planner, you have all your same regular stuff. And then there's a full note page and then half note page, and then the 2020-2021 calendar. And then at the end of the daily planner, there is several more lined note pages. There's several of them in the back. And you have a 2020-2021 calendar. So that's another difference here with the daily versus the weekly, is that you get a lot more note pages in the daily than you do in the weekly. And then the back is just a hard cover, which you could stick a sticky pouch on if you wanted to, and then you close it and it's just the back cover with the KITLife logo. So I'm going to paper test one of these, and I think it is going to be the weekly, because I think I'm going to be giving the weekly away, but I might actually hang on to the daily. There are times when I actually want a daily planner, and even though the daily planner has a lot less stuff in it, I don't think I would use it quite so much, because the weekly, I don't think I would use the weekly as much because it's vertical and that's just not how I'm planning right now. So now we're gonna pen test, and I have my usual pens, a Pilot fine liner, a Pilot G2 in blue because I still don't know where my regular gel pen is, and a Tombow dual brush marker. But then I'm also gonna add, at your request, I'm adding a highlighter so you can see how that works in the planner. And as a reminder, I am heavy-handed. All right, so looking at this, they all ghost a little bit. The highlighter bled through a bit where you laid it down. They all ghosted, and there was a very mild amount of ridging from the gel pen, but not from the felt pen. I would just be careful with highlighters. Maybe scribble them on paper first before you use them, because some mild liners sometimes can be a little inky when you first set them down. And I wouldn't layer too much in terms of inks on this paper, but otherwise it seems to hold up okay. So overall, what do I think of these planners? I love the changes that they've made. I love the new covers. I love the neutral version. I think it's really pretty. And I think that even with the colorful version, they've kept the color relatively stepped back. Like it's not, some of their previous planners have been like lousy with color. Like it looks like somebody just puked the rainbow all over them. And in this one, you can barely taste the rainbow. So I appreciate, for my aesthetics, I love that from the perspective of somebody who likes to add and make planners their own and decorate them and so on and so forth. Both of these layouts are really good for that. Although if I was going to pick one, I would pick a neutral layout. However, while this is my more favorite kind of binding, I'm not thrilled with the one on this particular one, but I feel like that might not be like the case with all of them. It feels like this one just got a little extra binding, and that's really kind of bugging me. My biggest beef with either of these planners comes with the daily and the weekends on one page. But other than that, I think that they're really great planners. This kind of stuff in a planner, for me, is not something I generally utilize. I have my power sheets for that, which go a lot deeper than this. I've said this before about KITLife planners. If you are somebody who wants to do some self-reflection in your planner, but you don't want to go full ham like the power sheets, but you also like the kind of more touchy-feely woo-woo side of things rather than the hardcore goal-setting side of things, KITLife is a great planner for that because they give you kind of a small amount of it, but not so much to be overwhelming. That's not really what I want right now. So if I did use this daily one, I would just use it as a daily planner and probably ignore the other stuff. But that's just me personally. As for the layout of this, there's a little bit more black ink than I would personally like, but as it doesn't really show up on the weekly pages, which is where I care about it the most, I don't really mind. If this reminds me of any layout, this reminds me a lot of the yellow paper house layout. They have something similar to this with like both a lined section and a dot grid section. But yeah, I think that these are both beautiful planners. They're pricey, but a lot of planners like this are pricey. But overall, I think the changes are good and, you know, pretty cool. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments, both your thoughts on these planners. Would you prefer, if you were going to use one, would you prefer the colorful or the neutral? Would you prefer the weekly or the daily layout? And are there other planners you'd like me to take a look at in the comments below? Thank you so much to Kit for sending these to me. This isn't a sponsored video, but they did send them to me, and all of these opinions are my own, and they're unfiltered, I promise. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.